When we first started this show, I never imagined we'd be wading through, like, 194 research papers for a single deep dive.
It's really remarkable, isn't it? The amount of research coming out on ChatGPT is astounding.
Yeah, a little intimidating, if I'm being honest, so thank goodness you gave us this paper to break it all down.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners, think of this as your crash course in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to sound smart or just really curious about what all the fuss is about, we've got you covered.
It's a really comprehensive overview of the current state of research.
We had a giant report card for ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to find out what it's good at, where it struggles, and maybe even what it'll be when it grows up.
Right. And one of the more surprising things this research highlights is how good ChatGPT is at math.
Really, that's not usually the first thing that comes to mind when I think AI taking over the world. Like, did that surprise you at all?
Honestly, it did. And we're not talking about just simple arithmetic here either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this paper mentions studies where ChatGPT is tackling like graduate level math problems that many humans would struggle with.
Hold on, hold on. Are you telling me I can throw away my calculator now? Is ChatGPT like the new math tutor on the block?
Well, not quite. Here's the catch.
Okay.
While it can solve some really complex problems, it also stumbles on seemingly simple ones. It's almost like it's processing information in a fundamentally different way than we do.
So not exactly the flawless math genius then.
Exactly. This research suggests that it might be relying more on pattern recognition than true understanding of the underlying mathematical concepts.
That makes sense. I mean, you can't just memorize your way through calculus. Well, I mean, some of us can try.
Right. And this kind of inconsistency in its abilities pops up in other areas too, like in computer programming, for example.
Wait, so it's not just math equations. It can write code, too.
It can, and surprisingly well, according to this paper. One study even had ChatGPT generate multiple working solutions to the same problem, each using a different approach.
Wow, different working solutions, huh? It's like ChatGPT has different coding styles.
It's showing a level of flexibility we haven't really seen before in AI.
Okay, that is seriously impressive. But it also has me thinking, like, what does all this mean for the average person? Should I be worried ChatGPT is going to steal my job?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And this research paper really dives into those real-world implications. They talk a lot about the future of education, for example.
Yeah, because if this thing can write code, what's stopping it from, like, writing a term paper on Shakespeare?
Well, people are already using it for that. And the paper suggests we might need some big changes in how we teach and assess students.
You think traditional essay is going to go extinct?
It's a possibility. They're saying we might see more emphasis on critical analysis, creativity, problem solving, those skills that AI can't really replicate.
So less about memorizing facts, more about how you think.
Exactly. And they even talk about the potential for AI tutors. Imagine personalized learning tailored to each student.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind. No more getting lost in a crowded classroom. But let's be real, it's not just students who might be feeling the heat here, right? You mentioned jobs earlier. What industries are, like, most likely to see a ChatGPT take over?
The paper highlights things like data analysis, report writing, even customer service, jobs with a lot of repetitive tasks that can be automated.
So basically everything I'm qualified for. I'm just kidding, sort of. But seriously, that's a lot of jobs potentially online. What are we supposed to do? Like, tell everyone to become artists or something?
It's not quite that dire. Remember, this technology is still evolving.
Okay, so how do we adapt? I mean, what are some things humans can do that AI just can't?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Things like emotional intelligence, critical thinking, complex problem solving. These are areas where humans still have a clear advantage.
And those are things that AI can't really learn, right? Like, you can't just, I don't know, feed a computer empathy data and expect it to understand.
Right, exactly. Those more human qualities are going to be even more important as we move forward.
So it's not about competing with AI. It's more about, like, figuring out how to work with it.
Yeah.
Let's play to our strengths and all that.
That's the idea. And this paper, it really stresses how important collaboration is going to be. It's not humans versus machines. It's how we can use both to do even greater things.
Okay, see, now that's a much more optimistic way to look at it than the whole, robot apocalypse scenario I had going on in my head. But it does make you think, are there any downsides to all of this? Like, no new technology is perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the researchers who write this paper, they know that. They actually spend a good amount of time talking about potential problems we need to watch out for as AI becomes more a part of our lives.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? What are some of the big concerns with ChatGPT as it gets more integrated into, well, everything?
Well, one thing that comes up is how ChatGPT learns in the first place.
Hmm.
It's trained on this massive amount of text and code,
Yeah.
but that data, it's all from us, from human history. So it comes with all of our biases, our flaws, all baked in.
Oh, right. So it's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out. Except in this case, the garbage could be like harmful stereotypes or something.
Exactly. And it's not always easy to see how those biases will show up in what ChatGPT does. It
Hmm.
takes constant work to make sure the training process minimizes those risks.
That makes sense. It's like, I don't know, raising a kid, you got to be careful what information they're exposed to. Speaking of which, what about education? We talked about AI tutors and stuff, but there are two sides to that coin, right?
For sure. The paper brings up plagiarism as a big concern. If this thing can write essays in code, how do we even make sure students aren't cheating?
It's not like you can give a robot detention, right?
Right. So educators are really having to rethink how they do assignments, how they test knowledge, maybe more hands-on projects, more in-class stuff to really see what students know.
So it's a brave new world of challenges, but also some really cool opportunities.
I think that's the perfect way to put it. We're on the edge of something huge with AI, but it takes being careful, developing it ethically, and being, proactive about dealing with the challenges.
I like that. Proactive, not just reacting to whatever happens. This has been amazing. I feel like I've learned more about ChatGPT in the past hour than I have all year.
It's been great talking about this with you.
And for our listeners, if you want to go even deeper, we'll have a link to this research paper in the show notes. And it's constantly being updated with new info, so you can stay up to date on all things ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep those brains working, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.